It's been a week since my last video and it feels like a long time to me. I've missed it. I've missed you guys. Thanks for being patient. Life is crazy. Crazy good. Crazy busy. Profound in so many ways. Life is good, dude. I'm very appreciative for everything that's going on and what I'm learning and just these experiences. So, long story short, it's not only been a week since my last video, but it's been many months since my last Warframe video. And I haven't forgotten about you guys, I promise. I have been playing Warframe, but in a new way. And that is what this video is about. So if you're new to the channel, I've been uploading Warframe for a few years now, mainly on the PC. And I got into Warframe right after Vanilla Destiny 2. I wasn't that into Vanilla Destiny 2. I had heard of Warframe and I wanted to just give it a shot. I drudged my way through the first month of the new player experience, and then it clicked, and then I couldn't stop playing it. And many of you I know are from the Warframe Beginner series on this channel. And for those of you who watch my other content, thanks. I appreciate that. And for those of you who are just here for Warframe, don't worry, there's more coming. Let's talk about Warframe on the Nintendo Switch and why this game is such a perfect fit for the Switch. I want to hit on what Warframe does right, a couple of the weaknesses, and just recap everything about this awesome free-to-play title. So hitting on the strengths of Warframe on the Switch, something I've now been playing for a few months, and I gotta tell you what, guys, it's actually the main way I'm playing right now. I haven't picked up the PC version in about a month, ever since I started playing on Switch. First of all, it's completely free. Not only is Warframe free, I know you guys know that, but you don't need Nintendo Switch Online in order to play this game. Kind of counterintuitive. I would have thought you'd needed that $20 a year subscription, but you don't. Anybody who picks up their Switch on day one can download it and go begin playing. Warframe is also one of the best free-to-play games of all time. Hands down, I've talked about it for years. Digital Extremes have landed on a model that I think is so ridiculously jam-packed full of content. The amount of time and effort that you can put into Warframe and get meaningful reward out of it without a single dollar down is kind of unprecedented in the industry, or at least in the titles that I have experienced. If you think of a better free-to-play game, please tell me about it in the comments. I want to know. This is a port by the team over at Panic Button, a company very well known for porting AAA titles to the Switch with great success. In the options menu, you will quickly realize, oh boy, Panic Button took this responsibility very seriously. There's an unprecedented level of customization available to you. Pretty much almost all the settings that you have access to on the PC are here on the Switch version. And yeah, if you want to turn everything on, max out the FOV, and tank your FPS, you're more than welcome to. I really appreciate that they allow you to do so much, down to customizing every single button within this thing. It is a dream come true, and more ports, like teams doing ports, look to Panic Button, look what they're doing here. And it's also unprecedented in the idea that Panic Button is going to do long-term support over the full lifespan of Warframe. So as updates come into being, as new builds get put into the wild, and as new options get added to the menu, as longtime Warframe players will know, Panic Button is going to adapt that to the Switch to make sure it's always working and optimized. If you think about that, it's kind of a new paradigm. You actually have companies who are going to be known for their ports and have long-term contracts for these service model games, making sure that the ports work over the course of the lifespan and making sure the new updates work. It's kind of weird. It's cool. I think it's a whole new space that developers should be looking at if they're wanting some nice residual income. This is the type of game that translates perfectly to laying in bed, or sitting on the couch, or doing multiple things at once. How many of you play games like Destiny while you watch Netflix? I know I do. That's like a perfect kind of mindless game where you can make progress, you can do your dailies, you can go after those more, I guess, less thought-intensive missions while you're enjoying other things. And that, to me, has been my favorite part about the Switch. This is something that you can sit on the couch while you're watching a movie and just, oh, I'm gonna go run this, and I need to go get a little bit more nitin extract, or, oh, I need to go and farm for that particular part. It translates so perfectly to the handheld thing where you don't have to give it 100% attention, yet you can still enjoy doing something else. Finally, from a more macro perspective, a larger, higher up, top-down look, Warframe does a few things right, and maybe you're new to the series and you've never played Warframe before. Something that I want to make clear to you is the agility of updates, the amount of communication and the agility of that communication from Digital Extremes is so good. There are very few studios who communicate as quickly and as efficiently as Digital Extremes does with its player base. The ongoing support that they provide, again, is one of those unprecedented things within the scene. Once you kind of get into the Warframe universe, once you get over the initial hurdle and you start watching the dev streams, you start following the community managers over on Twitter, you really get sucked into a universe that is so much bigger than the game itself. It's a community that is amazing to be a part of. And that is all because Digital Extremes invests very heavily in this community team, in their dev streams, in the agility at which they update the game, and how much they listen to the scene, how much they listen to the player base. However, there are some weaknesses. We got to get to those here. There's no offline play. I get it. An offline mode would be freaking awesome. Logistically, it's obviously infeasible. Okay, you would have tons of exploits. If you made it offline and people could earn things locally, there would be someone who figured out how to manipulate it, get all the gear, get all the things, and it would create chaos. However, with the Nintendo Switch, I know a lot of players use it while they're commuting, while they're doing other things. So I could still put it out there in the world. In a dream scenario, offline play would be fantastic. I've heard lots of people saying they've played for 30 or 40 hours and had no frame rate issues. I'm not sure those people went to Fortuna or Plains of Eidolon, because on some of the bigger map spaces, the frame rate tanks pretty bad in handheld mode. In most missions, on most tile sets, not a problem. However, there are some areas at which you can definitely feel the horsepower of the Switch not being quite enough to push a smooth 30 FPS where you want it and where you need it. There's no cross-platform play, as of yet. Notice I said yet. Digital Extremes, please, cross-platform play. I don't know who it is who's blocking you from that, if it's Sony or whatever. That would be amazing. And alongside that, your account is platform specific. Okay, so your Switch account is not gonna be the account that you can log in over on your Xbox or whatever. When this first came out, and until mid-January, you could migrate your PC account over to the Switch. You could copy basically your PC account straight over to the Switch, all the stuff, and then have two ongoing accounts. They were separate, but you could take all that progress. Like, I have a few hundred hours on the PC version, and originally I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that when I get around to playing it. I started playing Switch, like Warframe, days after they closed that window. So the option's not off the table in the future, but for right now, you can't do the PC migration. That was only a limited thing. You could only do it for a few months. If they do bring it back, I don't know if I would do it. I've actually had a lot of fun playing through Warframe again, kind of the third time if you count all the beginner accounts for the guide videos on the series. I actually did enjoy doing it that way, but do note, you're kind of starting from scratch, even if you're a longtime veteran, which can hit hard when you've got an account that might have 500 or 600 hours into it. And finally, back to those more macro top level things, the Warframe new player experience is unintuitive, and it turns off many fresh players because of how opaque the initial 20 hours are. Digital Extremes knows this, the player base knows this. The new player experience is awful, and it deserves attention. I would wager if you could pull the stats up of how many registered accounts there are and how many active accounts there are, you would see a massive discrepancy. I would wager there's a huge percentage of players who don't get past the first 20 hours because the game doesn't communicate to you very well what it is you're supposed to do, how Warframe actually works, and what the long-term gameplay loop is. With all that said, if you watch the guide videos, if you spend time with the amazing Warframe partner community on Twitch, then you can easily learn what you need and get past that hump. However, there's a lot of people, myself included, that think this should be communicated through the game. We've talked about this loads here on the channel. With Warframe, if you can get over that initial hump, there does come a point a few planets deep where you start to unravel the magic that is Warframe, and it becomes so addicting. And the moment where it clicks, Every Warframe player remembers it, they celebrate it, and we love seeing new players get to that point when it clicks with them and they just fall in love with the game. And at that point, you usually see people jump from 20 hours to 100 hours in the blink of an eye because it is that good of an experience. However, Digital Extremes desperately needs to invest in that side of the game. Seriously, it's too good of a game to have just the middle portion of the player base really happy. I would say like beginners, not super happy with the experience. Hardcore players, not super happy with everything. Middle of the pack players really enjoy Warframe. I think that's where it shines for those people. 50 hours to 150 hours, that kind of a thing. But again, that's just my sense. That's my two takes. It could totally be different for all of you guys. Few misconceptions as we wrap up. Well, Warframe is free, and I started playing, and if I wanted things, I needed to buy them with platinum, so it must be pay to win. This couldn't be further from the truth. You take the joy out of playing the game by purchasing items outside of cosmetics, okay? If you're going in and you're purchasing Warframes and you're purchasing weapons, you're missing out on the whole point of the game, which is to farm for the blueprints and farm for the resources, put it in the foundry, bake the cake, wait a few days, and then the satisfaction of creating that gear. However, that sentiment that a lot of new players have of going, this is pay to win, I think just kind of reinforces why the new player communication is so bad and plays into why so many new players think it's pay to win. It's not. Talk to anybody who's played the game for 20, 30 hours. You'll learn quite quickly how you can accumulate resources necessary to buy the gear that you need or that you want. You can even earn platinum, the real world currency in-game, just by playing the game and trading on the market. It's not that hard to accumulate a fairly big chunk of platinum by doing some pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but pretty repeatable tasks. So finally, the biggest takeaways. On the whole, Warframe is still one of the best free-to-play games ever. I love talking about it, I love covering it here on the channel, and I want to see more people engage with it. And the Switch version of the game is phenomenal. Nintendo allowing this thing to be free-to-play without Nintendo Switch Online is so cool because there's a ton of players who will probably get this thing for Christmas or a gift, not have many games, and maybe just pick up Warframe. Oh, it's free. And hopefully they turn into longtime players of the franchise. Warframe nails live service extremely well. And it's fun. Here we are a few years later, and I'm still impressed by how Digital Extremes handles this IP and the amount of investment that they put into their communication, their live team, the community stuff. It's all top notch. So what do you think about Warframe on the Switch? What do you think about Warframe in general? And what kind of Warframe videos would you like to see here on the channel? I am planning on getting back into the swing of things. Like I said, Warframe on Switch has been eating my time the last month and a half. So if you enjoyed the video, please thumbs it up, subscribe for more. Definitely hit the alarm bell because subscription boxes are totally inconsistent at this point. Follow me over on Twitter. I love to talk with you guys there at BBKDRAGOON. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk with you again very soon.